The check lands in the middle of the table, and for one small second, nobody moves. Maybe you both reach at once. Maybe neither of you does. Maybe one of you says, "I've got it," a little too fast or a little too slow. It's 5 seconds of nothing, and it's the whole thing. Because inside that pause is a question the two of you have somehow never answered out loud. Whose money is this? Yours, mine, or ours? Money is one of the most common things couples fight about, and it almost never starts with a number. It starts right here, in the quiet. Here's where we're going. First, the 3 ways couples actually handle money. Fully joint, fully separate, and the hybrid most people quietly land on, so you can name the one you're already living in. Then the fight underneath the fight, 50-50 versus proportional when you don't earn the same, and why splitting everything down the middle can feel fair and be unfair at the very same time. We'll walk the my money, our money resentment trap, a dead simple 3-account setup you could build this weekend, and the reason autonomy is not the enemy. And at the end, I'll hand you the actual words, the ones that let you design your system on purpose, together, without it turning into a fight. Here's the strange part. Almost nobody chooses how they'll handle money as a couple. You don't sit down on date 4 and pick a model. You just start. One of you covers dinner, the other grabs the groceries, someone's card ends up on the streaming account, rent comes out of whoever's checking made sense at the time. And slowly, invisibly, a system forms. One neither of you designed, neither of you agreed to, and neither of you could quite explain if I asked. That's the default. And the default got built by accident, out of 100 tiny moments nobody was paying attention to, and a system you drifted into carries a hidden cost. Because you never chose it, you never talked about it. Which means every assumption inside it is unspoken. One of you thinks you're a team pooling everything. The other quietly still thinks of their paycheck as theirs. Nobody's lying. You just never compared notes. So the resentment, when it comes, doesn't arrive as an honest fight about money. It leaks out sideways, a little comment about a purchase, a tightness when the card comes out at dinner. The silence doesn't keep the peace. It just files the argument away for later, and it charges interest. Point 1. The 3 models. There are really only 3 ways to do this, and none of them is the right one. There's only the right one for you. The first is fully joint. Everything goes into one pot. Every dollar either of you earns is ours. Every bill comes out of the same account, and there's no such thing as my money or your money. Just the households. It's simple, it's transparent, and for a lot of couples it feels like the truest version of partnership. The second is fully separate. You each keep your own accounts, your own paychecks, your own everything, and you split the shared costs somehow. Rent, utilities, the stuff you both use. Nothing gets pooled. This is common for people who married a little later, who've been burned before, or who just deeply value handling their own money. It isn't colder, it's a different shape. And the third, the one most couples actually land on, whether they plan to or not, is the hybrid. Some money is joint, some is separate. A shared account pays the shared life, and you each keep a personal account that's yours to spend without a committee meeting. Yours, mine, and ours, all at once. Here's what I want you to take from this. There is no virtuous model and no suspicious one. Fully joint is not more committed. Fully separate is not more guarded. The hybrid is not a cop-out. They're 3 different tools, and the only real mistake is using one you never actually chose. So the first move isn't picking the best one. It's naming the one you're in right now, out loud, together. Because you can't redesign a system you won't even describe. Point 2. 50-50 versus proportional, and why equal isn't always fair. Say the shared bills come to $4,000 a month. The obvious, clean, grown-up answer is, we each pay $2,000. Split it down the middle. Fair, right? Well, it depends. If you both earn about the same, 50-50 is beautifully fair, but most couples don't earn the same. So picture this. One of you brings home $6,000 a month, the other brings home $3,000. You each pay $2,000 toward the bills, right down the middle. The higher earner has $4,000 left to live on. The lower earner has $1,000. The exact same fair split, and two completely different lives. One of you is comfortable, the other is stretched thin every single month and slowly starts to feel like the shared life is something being done to them. That's where proportional comes in. Instead of splitting the bills equally, you split them by share of income. If you earn 2/3 of what the household brings in, you cover 2/3 of the shared costs. Now you each have the same proportion of your own money left over. The same breathing room, the same freedom. That's a different definition of fair. Not the same number, but the same squeeze. And neither one is objectively correct. 50-50 treats you as two equal individuals sharing a space. Proportional treats you as one household pulling together. Both are completely legitimate. But here's the catch. If you never talk about which one you're using, you'll default to 50-50 because it looks the fairest on paper. And one of you will quietly drown in it while the other genuinely has no idea anything is wrong. Equal and fair are not the same word. And when your incomes are different, choosing between them out loud is one of the kindest conversations the two of you can have. Point 3. The my money, our money trap. This is the one that poisons quietly. It sounds like this. One of you buys something just for yourself, a jacket, a gadget, a round of drinks with friends, and the other one feels a little flinch, not because of the amount, because of a question that never got answered. Was that your money to spend or ours? When there's no agreement, every purchase becomes a tiny referendum. The higher earner might think, I earned it, I can spend it, while the other one hears, so your money is yours and mine is ours. Or it flips completely. The lower earner feels they have to justify every coffee, ask permission for their own haircut, explain a $20 thing like a suspect being questioned. Nobody set out to build that dynamic. It grows in the gap where the rules should be. And here's the trap's cruelest move. It turns money into a stand-in for something much bigger. The fight is never really about the jacket. It's about whether you're respected, whether you're trusted, whether you're a partner or a line item. Resentment doesn't need a big number to grow. A hidden $40 can sting exactly like a hidden $4,000 because the wound was never the sum. It's the sense that the two of you aren't playing by the same rules, and the way out isn't to police each other harder. It's the opposite. It's to decide together, in advance, what's shared and what's each person's own. No permission needed, no explanation owed. When you both know exactly which dollars are yours to spend freely, the flinch just disappears. Not because you're watching each other more closely, because there's finally nothing left to watch. Point 4. A setup so simple you could build it this weekend. If the hybrid is where most couples land, here's a clean version of it. 3 buckets. Bucket 1, bills. A shared account that exists for exactly one job. Paying the shared life. Rent or the mortgage, utilities, groceries, insurance, the kids if you have them. You both feed it, either 50-50 or proportionally, whatever you chose back in point 2, and every joint expense comes out of it. No mystery about whether a bill got covered. It lives in one place you can both see. Bucket 2, freedom. 2 personal accounts, 1 each. This is your money and their money on purpose. Whatever amount you agree on lands here every month, and it is yours to spend with 0 guilt and 0 justification. Want to blow all of it on records, or golf, or shoes nobody else understands? Go ahead. That is literally what it's for. This is the bucket that kills the flinch, because my money finally has a name and a home. Bucket 3, shared goals. Another joint account, but this one isn't for bills. It's for the future you're building together. the emergency fund, the trip, the house down payment, the someday. You both put money in, you both watch it grow, and it slowly becomes the thing that makes you feel like a team instead of two roommates splitting a water bill. Bills, freedom, shared goals, 3 accounts, one quiet afternoon to set up. And look at what it actually does. It gives you the transparency of joint money and the autonomy of separate money at the same time. You don't have to choose between being a partnership and being a person. The structure lets you be both, which was the whole point all along. Point 5, and this one matters, because you might be sitting there thinking the goal is to merge everything, and that anyone who keeps money separate must have something to hide. So let me steel man the other side hard. Keeping some money separate is not distrust. For a lot of people, a private account isn't a secret. It's an oxygen supply. If you grew up with nothing, or you've been financially controlled by someone before, or you watched a parent lose everything because they had no money of their own, then having your own account isn't a wall you're building against your partner. It's a floor under your own feet. That's not a red flag. That's wisdom, earned the hard way. And the reverse is just as true. Merging everything is not automatically more virtuous. Pooling every last dollar doesn't prove your love. Plenty of fully joint couples are quietly miserable, and plenty of fully separate couples are rock solid. The model is not the marriage. A shared pot with 2 silent, resentful people standing over it is worth a whole lot less than 2 separate accounts and 1 honest conversation. So please, hear this. Separate money can be intimacy, and joint money can be avoidance. It depends entirely on whether you chose it together and out loud. The only thing that actually predicts trouble isn't which model you pick. It's picking one by default and never saying so. Autonomy and partnership are not opposites. The healthiest couples are usually the ones who protect a little of each person's independence, precisely so the partnership doesn't have to carry the weight of being absolutely everything. So, choose your system on purpose. And if that system includes some money that is just yours, good. That's allowed. That might even be the healthiest choice on the table. The point was never to merge. The point was to decide. Point 6, and it ties the whole thing together. Whatever model you pick, the one that will actually hurt you is the unspoken one. I need to be really clear here, because this is the heart of the episode. Fully joint can work. Fully separate can work. The hybrid can work. 50-50 can work. Proportional can work. There is not a single arrangement on this whole list that hasn't made some couple perfectly happy for 50 years. And there is not a single arrangement on this list that hasn't quietly wrecked another couple. Not because the system was wrong, but because it was never actually agreed to. The damage doesn't come from the model. It comes from the mismatch, from 2 people running 2 different systems in their heads and never once noticing, because they never said the systems out loud. One of you thinks the personal account is a gift you both understand. The other thinks of it as a secret. One of you thinks 50-50 is fair. The other has been quietly drowning in it for 2 years and never found the words. Same house, 2 different rule books, and the collision is only a matter of time. This is exactly why every other point in this video matters less than this one. You could pick the perfect setup and still end up resentful if you built it in silence, and you could pick the wrong one on paper and completely thrive. Simply because you talked about it, you both said yes, and you agreed to revisit it when life changed. The system isn't the thing that saves you. The conversation is. The killer was never joint or separate. The killer is the arrangement nobody ever put into words. Because you can't renegotiate a deal that only one of you even knows you made. So here's the payoff. The actual words. You don't fix this with a spreadsheet. You fix it with one conversation, started gently, on purpose. Pick a calm moment. Not right when a bill lands. Not when you're already tense. Coffee on a slow morning is perfect, and you open with something like this. Hey, I've been thinking. We've never actually talked about how we handle money together. We kind of just fell into it. Could we design it on purpose instead of by accident? That's the whole opener. Notice what it does. No blame, no numbers, no you always. It names the real problem, that you drifted, and it puts you both on the same side of the table looking at the system instead of at each other. Then you ask 3 simple questions, together. 1. What do we want to be shared, and what do we each want to keep as our own? 2. When we split the shared stuff, do we want it equal, or do we want it to match what we each earn? And 3. What's one goal we're both saving toward, something that makes this feel like us, and not just bills? That's it. You're not solving your entire financial life in one sitting. You're just turning an unspoken system into a spoken one. And then the most important line of all, can we check in on this every few months and change it whenever life changes? Because the goal was never the perfect system. The goal was to never go silent about it again. So tell me in the comments, joint, separate, or hybrid. Which one actually works in your house? I read them, and honestly, this is the episode where couples learn the most from each other. One quick reminder, this is education, not therapy or financial advice. These are communication frameworks, not a diagnosis of your relationship. For the heavy stuff, a good counselor is genuinely worth it. Next time we open the drawer nobody wants to open, financial infidelity, the secret purchase, the hidden account, and what it really costs. I'll see you there.